Rhoda, we're live. Welcome to Member Spotlight.
Hi, Guy. How are you?
I'm all the better for seeing you, my lovely. That's for sure. So I'm going to ask you, like I've done with everyone, other member spotlights, because we've got new members coming through as well. And you've been with me from the start. But like I do on my podcast, if a complete stranger stopped you on the street and asked you what you did for a living, what would you say?
Oh, I hear this. I hear you ask people this on all of your podcasts. So I would say I lead a parallel life. So I'm a advertising account director in ad agencies here. It's a client service role, and that's what I've been doing for the past 15 years or so. But my other parallel would be always just based around health and wellness and creating things around that.
Yeah, totally. And because I know for a fact that you're looking at other things at the moment and things are starting to open up for you, which I want to touch on in a little bit, because the work that we do within Let It In is very related to the things that you're going through now in the process of change and stepping into the unknown as we do. But take it back for me. How did you first come across Let It In, and what attracted you to it?
So I feel like Let It In happened at a perfect time for me, or me finding out about it. I'd just come out of a Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within weekend, and I was all motivated around that, and I found the Let It In pretty much straight after that. And even though the Tony Robbins thing is great, I think you come out and you're in a little bit of you're still not totally healed with all of your wounds that got opened up at that thing. So I feel like I still felt pretty disconnected with myself, and was like pretty stressed and anxious and just full of worry most of the time. And I just sort of felt like I had sort of some health issues, and I don't know, I just wasn't really in the place that I wanted to be from a relationships perspective, where I was living. There was lots of things that I knew I needed to address, and I felt really disconnected.
Did you think that was an inside job in terms of looking at those aspects and thinking, I've really got to start looking at myself? Or
sorry.
No, because quite often we can look for an external solution constantly, and the last place we look is actually our behavioral patterns.
Yeah. So what I was doing was definitely looking for externals over looking into myself. That's why I think disconnected is a great word, because I was like a self-development, addict. So many books and did all these types of things, but never really took the action. And then I was also like had a tendency to do things like binge drinking, and even though I was a personal trainer, and there were just lots of things that I did to kind of try to forget about the problems I had. And what I was starting to find around this time that I found Let It In was that it really is that inside job, like you say, and I really feel like there is something inside of us that is always okay, and is always actually guiding us in some kind of way. And I think that the Let It In program has really helped me tap into that.
Yeah, okay. So when you started doing the work, let's talk about doing the work, because were you meditating prior to joining the 4-week program and Let It In?
Yeah, I did have a subscription with Headspace, so the app there, and I did it, but not consistently.
Yeah, okay. So when it started to open up for you, what has been your biggest motivation then to continue doing the work from when you start? Because just like a Tony Robbins event or something, we can have this real high from things, which is fantastic, because it really gets us out of our state and out of our conditioning, but we have to get back into the real world. Like, what has allowed you to actually trust and be more explorative in the work and let it unfold, as opposed to resorting back to old ways, even though we do have this seesaw and 3 steps forward, 2 steps back?
Yeah, I think just having faith in it, I think, and just constantly chipping away each day and really believing in the work. And I tended, when I first started the program, what would happen would be I would listen to something, one of your videos, and for a few days I would remember, but then I would just slip back into old thinking really easily, and then kind of remind myself. It was weird because I knew the importance of it, and I could feel good things happening in my life when I was more aware and of my thoughts. But initially, and this took like a good 4 or 5 months, initially I just forgot to think differently. And it's just very, very easy to snap back into the old way of thinking, which I think is understandable because I turned 40 this year and I'm only just starting to find this type of work. So this is kind of 39 years of bad habits of thinking that I have to change. So I think the key is to keep at it and keep believing in it, and surrounding yourself with people and communities that are on that same journey.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. And it is a process. It's not a quick fix. And I'm sure everyone when we talk about doing the work, it's obviously doing the meditations, but then being able to observe yourself through the day and start to act upon those changes.
Yes.
And we haven't got into some of the other aspects we do, which we'll touch on in a sec. But what if there was a before shot and an after shot, if we could capture it, of Rhoda of 12 months ago when you started to the Rhoda of where you're at right now?
Yeah.
And you could compare, would you see many changes?
Yeah, it's so funny you say this. It's actually not funny, but yeah, it's. I was actually reflecting with my boyfriend yesterday about this very thing, and just kind of thinking where I was this time last year compared to now, and I can't even tell you like how much things have changed, and so some examples are my health. So I had some serious gut issues, and I did, and I've done a lot to fix that. And I think that it's from a nutritional perspective, from a movement and exercise perspective. But I think that this work and the meditation and tapping into my heart and the breathing techniques, all of that, I think have really. I think that physically I look better. I've lost 5 kilos since Sardinia, believe it or not. But just my skin, my hair, my nails, everything has just improved. So physically it's great. I was single and dating very unsuccessfully. And now I've met the one, and things are going really, really well there. I was in debt as well, and I was in a job that I absolutely hated and wasn't appreciated in. So I'm not in debt anymore. I'm saving money. I'm investing it into a new business, and I've found a job in advertising that I actually like, which is a miracle, which is kind of my job that I'll do.
It's amazing, and I've got to ask you. How can I get this question right? Because you still have to take full responsibility for your actions, right? And you've clearly started to do something different that's allowed almost the things to come in that we yearn for, but quite often we don't allow in by our old behaviors that we don't even notice. Mm-hmm. I think that'd be fair to say. What do you think was the defining fact? The tipping, would you say it's connecting to heart space, or would you say the way you looked at yourself, or like what was it, Rhoda?
It's definitely came from within. I think that I've learned not to own the negative thoughts, and to almost appreciate them. I think that what I've really, really noticed and really worked out about this thing is that having, like, this work is not about being happy all the time. It's not about ignoring the problems. It's not about ignoring the things that are negative in your life. It's more about changing your perspective, your perspective about it. So for me, as an example, I really hated my job. So I just found a new way to earn money that suited me better, rather than staying in the job and feeling and being depressed about it. So it's like, I feel like now when negative things come into my life, I see it as a sign that that the inside of me is telling me that needs to change or needs to be looked at. It's not anything personal. It's not anything that I need to worry about. It's just something that I just need to address. As is good things that happen. Like, good and bad things are just things, and it's just, it's not part of me. It's almost something just that I just address on a daily basis. So
beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. It 100% does. And one of the biggest mistakes that I used to fall into quite often is exactly that. You'd have your highs and your lows, and they'd almost dictate the way you were being, honestly, as opposed to, like, just because we're internally happy doesn't mean we're going to walk around with a smile on our face all day, or we can't feel other emotions too. But it's having a very different relationship and almost a detachment to those things, because then we lower our expectations. And the moment we lower our expectations, we don't get disappointed by certain things, and it is what it is. And as we change our relationship with that, more fulfillment. And you said the most beautiful thing at the start, which I want to reiterate to everyone listening to make sure they heard it, is that we are not our thoughts. And if we do have negative thoughts and negative patterns, it's okay. Like, we don't have to beat ourselves up, and it's not wrong. But the most important thing is that relationship, and start observing that and not necessarily buying into it. It's
like, I heard that in so many different forms through my self-development bonanza over the years. But I'm only really starting to understand that now. So if anyone can, it's very hard when you're in a bad place, like mentally, to sometimes hear that. But I think that just knowing that your thoughts aren't you, and that I think that we all have intuition, and we all have that little voice that that tells us what we should be doing. And I used to just not really listen to it, because I felt like listening to a voice in my head was something that wasn't healthy. But I realized that that's actually a really great sign, and when you can hear it. And I think that that's what we need to be guided with, rather than the external things that are happening to us. It's really just
we're all human. I only this morning, I got a lot of things pressure-wise going on out beyond what's going on with me and my business at the moment. I woke up this morning, I meditated, and I could feel those negative emotions and patterns, and I was really buying into it. And I was just simply practicing walking with my awareness in my heart space to the car, and then thinking, how long can I hold it, and just continue to diffuse it and know it will pass. We all have it. Now, I need to ask you, are you happy to talk a little bit about your project?
Yeah.
I really want to raise it, because I'll let you explain what it is in a sec. But the fact that you have got to a point in life where you feel it's time to move into that. What's been the tipping point for you? Can you explain what your project is, and what do you think's been the tipping point for you to start making these decisions in actually being more congruent with your heart space and following that?
Yeah. So the project is what I'm calling my happiness journal. And in a nutshell, what it is it's a way that people can welcome in joy daily, basically. And it's just a daily thing that people write in to help them become more present, show their intentions, and write down their gratitude. And I feel like when I've started to do this type of journaling and this type of reflection, it really helped me understand myself more and just tap into what we've just spoken about. Yeah. So I've always had something inside of me to want to give back and contribute, and I think that all of us have that in us. And I feel like initially, back in the days, I was a personal trainer for 4 years and felt like that was it, but it didn't really work out. And but I always knew there was something in the health space that I wanted to do. And I feel like with this renewed sense of energy and mindset that I've got, I really feel like this journal is my calling. And it's due to be released early next year, and it's all happening, and the momentum around it is happening too. So
beautiful. Really, so what do you think was the tipping point again for you to take action in this direction? Because I've no doubt it's been brewing inside you for a while, right? Yeah. And you're like, you know what, I'm taking action. You've been taking massive action as well.
Yeah. So I think that I've always been a person who has so many ideas but never really starts so many things, always has like 4 or 5 things on the go but never finishes anything. And I never really understood what the problem was there. I actually thought initially it was like a benefit. I'm like, oh, I'm an ideas person and I'll just get someone else to roll it out. But, it's just, I think that was just an excuse to because I was just running away from a lot of things by not completing anything. And that was because I had such a fear of, I had a combination of a fear of failure and a fear of success all at the same time, and never really felt worthy enough to be able to pull it off, I think. And I think that with the happiness journal, it's been something that's been on my mind for the past 6 months, and I think what I've done is I've just got a different way of thinking about it. Like, it's generally in the past when I've had an idea, I've felt like I needed to take action all the time, like action, action, action. And then I would get total overwhelm and just be paralyzed by it and not actually take any action, but take action in the wrong way and not really plan it out properly. So what I've done is I've kind of almost just let it into the ethers and let it almost marinate inside my head but just for it to always be on my mind, if that makes sense, but not consciously all the time. And things have happened this year, well, since I've been starting to think about it, to really help me bring it to life. And because I've been really a lot more conscious about it, I've seen it happen and I've taken the action when it felt right. So some little examples around that is, I didn't know how I was going to print this, or I had an idea about what I wanted this journal to look like, but I didn't know who would be able to print it or how I would get it done. And it just so happened we got a freelancer in here at work that specializes in exactly what I wanted, and he put me in touch with the right people. The other thing, the other thing is the content within the journal. I knew it was there, and I even actually remember when I met up with you and Linda and I showed it to you, and I was like, I was kind of happy with it, but I wasn't sure what I wasn't happy with it, but I knew it wasn't right. And then when I was in Sardinia, I was just walking along and I got this amazing idea, and it actually fit. Implementing that, it was just like on the first doubles page was actually what I was needing, and now I'm really happy with it. But I wasn't even thinking about it at the time, and just letting it go a little bit. And
it's not trying to force an outcome, right?
Yeah, having patience and not trying to force things.
And almost being content and happy where we are with our life now, and then that will take care of itself.
Yeah, and I think Yeah, and I think just one little thing. I think that it's important to take action. Like I think that I used to have a bit of a conundrum because I used to hear like, "Oh, don't take action," but I think that it's important to take action. But I think it's important to do it when you're feeling when you're feeling in that flow. I think that it's important. I think that taking action is extremely important, but you have to be in that flow and connected with yourself to make.
And then it just lands, right?
Yeah.
There's two things I always remind myself, and that's for anyone here as well. It's like you have to meet your dreams halfway for a start.
Yeah.
You're not going to just lay in the bath and manifest the shit out of things and expect things to land on your lap.
Yeah.
Like you almost have to be out there. And the other thing is, the big part of it is just showing up, just actually getting involved, like you say, in your thoughts. You marinate it. It's bubbling away under the subconscious. You're already content. You've already been making changes in your life anyway. And then it just almost opportunities open up.
Yeah. And one thing else that I'm doing with the journal is that I'm just doing little things. Like I used to always look at I was here and where I wanted to be was here, and the space in between seemed like such a impossible journey. And so now I kind of forget about that. I have a fair idea, but I forget about that. And I just take little steps and just do what feels right today. And I feel so much more just happy and excited about the journal now, instead of just stressed about what it's going to look like at the end. And
beautiful.
how it's going to happen.
Beautiful. No, it's awesome. I can't wait to see it unfold for you, which it is.
Thanks.
A couple of more minutes. I want to touch on group intentions quickly, because there's new people coming into the membership now all the time that'll no doubt be watching this over the next few days. If you had to elevate or do an elevator pitch for a group intention to somebody that had not been involved before or was trying to ask you, how would you describe it? What the hell do you guys do when you sit on Zoom? Like, what would you say to them?
Wow. Elevator pitch. That's a really small few sentences, isn't it?
Under a minute.
Yeah. So do I talk about it as in, like, because I've obviously received an intention. Do I talk about it as in?
Both. If somebody just said to you, well, what is a group intention? What do you do?
Yeah. Group intention is a way for a group of people to come together in any way to send love and positive thoughts to just one person in that group. So that's what it is. As a receiver, it is an amazing experience that is very hard to explain, but I think it's a really great way to tap into your own personal energy that's around you and to feel the energy of others. I felt an amazing connection with everyone that gave me the intention, and it made me realize that we are more than just physical beings, and that that there is this almost invisible energy between us that is really special, and I feel like the intentions help us leverage what that is.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I'm always intrigued to hear different interpretations, because obviously I got it in my own mind, and people come in here as well. And to tie this up for everyone that's listening to this, especially that are probably new to meditating or new and really having to trust this space. You know, I was just in front of 42 people Saturday in a workshop, and there was a lot of caution, if you like. There's a nice way. Even though there was a lot of enthusiasm, the underlying fact is there were subconscious beliefs going, oh, is this work? Is this really, you know? What would your kind of pointers be or advice be to somebody just first coming into this work and having to trust it?
I would say that two things. One is it's okay to not be sure about what this is, and it's only by doing will you truly understand what this work is. I think that if anyone has a want or a need to better themselves and to find out who they really are and become the best person that they can be, you have to go into the unknown and to be able to change. You can't expect change and not change yourself. And I think that this type of work helps. It's not necessarily something that's going to give you all the answers around that, but it will help guide you to find out a little bit more about yourself and understand yourself a bit more. And I think that it's very hard to explain until you actually experience it. So I think just jump in. You're not going to die. Give it a go, and see where it takes you. And I can pretty much guarantee if you do the work, you will not regret it.
Yeah.
And I just can't even begin to tell you how my life has changed over this past 12 months. And I'm just so thankful for being introduced to all of this. So
yeah. Well, it's been beautiful. It's beautiful. And we'll wrap it up there. We're nearly into 30 minutes, Rhoda. And thank you for coming on and speaking from the heart and sharing with everyone today your own little experience in that. And I have no doubt if anyone's got any questions, they can tag you and yes, you'll be there for them and so forth. But beautiful, Rhoda. And I look forward to seeing your project unfold even more over the next 6 months as well.
Thanks, Guy. Thanks for all the support.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.